Hi everyone, welcome back to the Salt and Sauce podcast, looking at the fortunes of Hearts and Hibs, Edinburgh's big clubs, from the points of view of two best mates who support either team. Robert, a Hibs fan, we'll come on to your game in a little bit, but it's fair to say pretty dramatic game against Dundee United. And then of course Hearts. We'll start with that one. I feel like that's the headline. Hearts and their not very happy hunting grounds away to St Mirren. Did you catch the Hearts St Mirren game? Did you manage to watch it?
I did. I watched it, yeah.
Sitting there with your full St
Very
Mirren kit
happy,
on.
Stuart.
Yeah, full St Mirren kit on, ready to go. So, listen,
That's it.
it is a sore one. Obviously, don't nobody wants to lose a game. It's the sort of one you I've been applying big picture thinking to. In the same way that if I said to you next season in you know early to mid February, Hibs will be 3 points clear at the top of the league, you would bite the hand off for that. So, yeah, so I'm trying to, well, not trying to, I am looking at it that way. Um, it's obviously a poor result though, and it sets us back. And Rangers obviously got a big win the next night, so even the goal difference at that point, the other hits. I'll come on to the game in a little bit, but the other hits are things like Halkett misses the derby now, and as poor as the whole team was, even with 11 men, he has been great this season. He obviously got the goal in the derby last time as well, so I'd rather have him in the team than not for the derby. So that's a sore one. But the game itself, yeah, they obviously scored late on, and I was at the game, and I was just thinking maybe we can cling on here and get a point. And given that it's, I think, the third game in five that we've gone down to 10 men, if we could have taken 7 points out the nine from those games, even if it is Dundee and St Mirren twice, then that's a brilliant result. I still think 6 points is a decent return, but the fact is you can't keep going down to 10 men, and especially that early on. I mean, that's twice against St Mirren. We played more than half the game, and they're already a big physical team. Now at Tynecastle we did it right and we did it well, and I thought we were excellent. But I just, even with 11 men, we looked awful. I thought up front, as good as Kabori was against Dundee United, the ball was bouncing off him. It was like when you kick a ball against a lamppost and it just, you don't know what direction it's going to go in. Braga, effort, but again, wasn't really holding it in. Casaridis, to be fair, was looking like he was maybe going to get a little bit of joy, but of course we then took him off, and I thought that was a poor decision when the red card came. Couldn't get a grip of the game in midfield. McEntee and Steinwender outright. There was no. I mean, those two, their strengths are not creativity, and it very much showed. Um, and Halkett and Finlay were letting things bounce and everything. It was just poor all round. And they actually had a couple of chances, St Mirren, before the red card. Schwolow made a couple of good saves. But the red card is obviously the first big incident, and it comes from Finlay. He'd done a wee drag back about 5 minutes before it and got away with it, although I have to say it was a bit dodgy. And I like Finlay, he's got a lot of good attributes, but the ball on the deck's not really one of them. He's our Grant Hanley, if you like. Um, and then he tried it again, but he catches it with his toe and he pokes it in front of him. He gets himself in a mess. Halkett actually gets there, and just as he's about to get it and probably deals with it, he slips. He actually then recovers from that somehow, and then he dives into what's quite a silly challenge, actually. Now, any Celtic fans watching this, obviously you won't think that's a red card because there were defenders nearby and the ball did travel away from goal. So, Celtic fans, you don't think that's a red card. I do. I thought it was a stonewall red card for Halkett. We'll see if we get any comments about that one. So again, like obviously it's more clear cut than the trusty one at Tynecastle, given that it's closer to the goal and blah blah blah. I'm obviously not. I'm obviously being tongue in cheek there. It's just a stonewall red card. It's a silly decision. My only hope was that there was a bit of a tangling with Finlay. I don't think it's a foul at all, but I was kind of hoping there maybe was a foul there, and VAR pulls it back for that. But there certainly wasn't a foul, and you're clutching at straws at that one. What I thought was strange was straight away, or pretty much straight away, we acted. We brought on Frankie Kent, who again was poor, much like the rest of the team when he came on, and we took off Kizaridis, and I thought that was bizarre. Whereas last time at Tynecastle, we just dropped Spittle, just dropped into midfield a bit deeper. Now Spittle wasn't playing there, because Aridas is our best ball carrier. And if you're going to be sitting in a little bit more because you're down to 10 men, you need someone who can run, beat a man, and get a shot or set up a goal or something like that. I just thought it was a strange decision. We ended up with pretty much five centre halves at the back, and then people like McEntee and Beningame in front who aren't exactly creative sparks. So just with 10, it was obviously worse, but even with 11, it was like we were playing their game. Even the fact that McEntee started, even the fact that Steinwender started at right back as a centre half, it's like we were playing their game. And that's one win in 10 at St Mirren. Um, and so it sounds like that got in McInnes's head a little bit, and he's adapted. And Hearts have been doing really well. I don't think we should be doing that. I think they should have to try and beat us, or stop us from beating them rather than us trying to stop them. Second half, I actually thought we livened up a bit in the second half. Not that I thought we were great, but we livened up a bit. I thought Braga was really good actually in the second half. He put in a lot of effort, created a couple of half chances. I thought if we were going to get anything, he was the man to do it. But it was then a bit of a sickener, obviously, to get, what was it, 88th minute or something like that. Like Frecklington with the header. And we've been so good from set pieces this season, to concede the losing goal from a set piece is a bit of a shocker. On the balance of play, though, St Mirren deserved to win, even at 11v11, and certainly at 11v10. I thought we got so many things wrong, and I include McInnes in that. And the players that were selected were really poor. The only bright spark is slightly livened up in the second half. But that's me clutching for positives there. The other positive is the big picture thinking, and that is just the fact we're still in a good place overall. We've come through a tricky run, and we've got Shanklin and Devlin ever closer to coming back. That'll be a big boost when they come back. But yeah, disappointing midweek, especially when you're playing the night before everyone else.
Yeah, I think I was a bit surprised by that Hearts team, but then I did say, you know, and I messaged you the curse of St Mirren,
It is, yeah, yeah,
and I genuinely think that it, as you say, it got in the managers and the players' heads because St Mirren just like kind of bullied Hearts. It just, as you say, you played their game,
yeah.
and they were big, they were physical. We know you're going to get that from St Mirren, but they had a lot of decent chances as well before that. Sholo making a couple of good saves. Obviously, it was a red card, but as you say, even at 11v11, it's kind of what I was saying about Hibs in a few games this season. From about the second minute,
Yeah,
we're not up for this. Like we're not, what we've not shown up. I think where Hearts have been good in the past, in this season, I mean, is when that doesn't happen, kind of recovering and getting something from the game.
yeah,
But I think the way St Mirren played was they were just up for it and they were on it. And the Robinson had them organised to, as you say, to be physical, get up to that big man up front. And again, he's not a great player. The guy with the dreads, can't remember,
yeah,
is it Lindeloo or something like that? He's a
yeah, yeah.
big unit
Lindley.
of a boy. Must be horrible to mark, but one time his touch goes away and then the next, like, he holds it in, but he's a handful. And St Mirren have a lot of players like that. I thought the player they had on loan from Man United in the midfield was a good wee player. Can't
Devaney,
remember his name.
Devaney.
Does it? Yeah,
Devaney.
he looked really good.
Yeah.
He looks like a good player. Um,
He
but
he scored
yeah,
a.
I look,
I was just going to say he
sorry.
scored a cracking goal for them in the Scottish Cup just last night. Actually, scored a really nice goal for them, and he's quite handy.
Oh,
The,
did he?
and the other thing, see right from the start, and again, I come back to this. I just wonder if this would have changed things at all. Again, maybe clutching at straws a little bit. I felt like I'm going to say Gogic, prime example here. There could have been some bookings a bit earlier. And in particular, I don't know if this has anything to do with his tackle at Tynecastle. They were going for Beningame. They were definitely going for Beningame. Gogic put in one challenge which I thought was worthy of a booking in itself, but three or four other ones that I thought he's gonna keep doing it until he gets, as long as he can. And the more he does it, the more rattled we get, or it breaks up any play that we do manage to create. I thought that was our only way out is if the ref started doing that a little bit because they have to ease off with the physicality a little bit, you know. But you know, again, that's I felt like that was our only way out of what was just a horrible start. I was going to
But
ask,
as you say, St Mirren deserved the win.
I was going to ask Rob if we've got a curse at St Mirren quickly before we come on to the Hibs game. Where's Hibs' curse at the minute? Easter Road.
St Johnstone, St Johnstone would be our kind of one of our bogey teams, and
Yeah.
Livy away, I don't think we've got a particularly great record there either.
Mm.
So certainly those two teams and over the past few seasons have been not happy hunting grounds.
I
But
still I don't think you've got any record quite as bad as Hearts at St Mirren. As much as Hibs frustrate you, you know, and they do. I don't know if I'd like to see the stats anyway. I don't think you've quite got a Hearts at St Mirren record anywhere.
no, possibly not. Possibly not. But obviously, I'm delighted. I don't want Hearts to win the league. All the plaudits I've given them, and I know I've taken a bit of stick for how complimentary I've been of Hearts. That has been through gritted teeth. So it was lovely to see Hearts lose, and how damaging it'll be. Hopefully, maximum damage. Hopefully, as we'll come on to say that Hibs will go to Tynecastle and rub more salt into those wounds and um, clear any talk of Hearts winning the league.
Well, late goals are a bit of a theme midweek. You probably enjoyed the late goal in your game a bit more than I enjoyed the late goal in my game, Rob. Hibs beat Dundee United 3-2. Um, I, I don't know where to start with the game. I'm assuming you watched it. For those of you that missed it, just very quickly, Rob, 1-0 up, 2-1 down, 2-2, and then a late winner, 3-2. Topsy-turvy, and this is just classic Hibs.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster that is Hibs. Um, you just don't know what you're going to get, and I think we said that in the preview as well. And we said it a lot this season. You don't know what you're going to get. What you are going to get though is goals, because we score plenty and we also give up a lot of chances as well. It was just so good to be so low in I think the 86th, 88th minute, and for once, have things going our way because I was messaging the lads on the chat and I said, finally, it's us scoring that late goal. And look, I don't know if we deserve to win. We probably didn't. Um, Boyle has a great chance to kind of make it 2-0, but I just thought that is the character we're looking for, where you're not playing well, you dig in. It would have been easy, lots of the Hibs fans were leaving. There was a lot of um, kind of disquiet around the place, and the players dug in and managed to dig out the result, not just a draw, but actually managed to go on and win the game, and that was just so good to see that there's still that team spirit, a bit of team spirit there from last season. Um, so the game itself, I was a bit surprised that Gray kind of changed the team so much from a good performance against Rangers, where we were the better team against probably the informed team in the league.
Yeah.
Um, it made lots of changes, brought in Palisic at right back for Megwa, who arguably had his best game. Um, we started Dane Scarlett. That was a good call. Quite happy with that. Um, and I thought that we could have started Nicky Cadden in that game. And as I'll go on to say, it's him that makes a difference for us, really. And in terms of either losing the game, because I don't think anyone else puts in those two deliveries in that Hibs team just now,
Yep.
or winning it. And it really was that difference. We didn't play well. We didn't play particularly well. Um, we get the break a goal in the first half. Now, what I did like to see, and maybe this is why Gray changed it up so much, because we're at home against a weaker team, let's say. When we were getting the ball forward, we were getting loads of players in the box, and that has been one of my big criticisms. And I know that's going to leave you vulnerable at the back, But I think if you're playing a weaker team, go for it.
Mm.
Impose your game on them. If you need to leave some gaps at the back, you sometimes need to take that risk because
Yep.
it's a risk and reward, and you're betting on your better players to make the difference in their box. So it doesn't really matter what's coming back. So that kind of happened. I think Pallison gets an early booking. He looked a bit kind of tentative, but what he does do is his run forward and his positive movement from right back helps set up the first goal. And as Boyle takes a shot, again, it's probably going right at the keeper, but you get your bit of luck, takes a deflection and goes in. And then, it was kind of a 50-50 game from there. I've heard a few people say maybe Dundee United got the better of the play. I mean, they did it without really creating very much, to be honest. They might
Yeah.
have had a lot of possession, but they weren't really, battering our goal or anything like that.
I mean, their goals,
And then
their goals to go 2-1 up are they're actually pretty late on. It's not as if they were dominating big chunks of that. It would have been a late turnaround if they'd held on for the 2-1.
yeah, no, it would have been. And look, I I I think Dundee United overall probably did deserve a draw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's um that's me being honest. But you don't get what you deserve, as Hibs have found out this season, all the time in football. So yeah, just give away. I think it's a corner comes in and it's just an awful equaliser. And there's no one. There's someone on the post. I think it was Rocky. I don't know what he's doing. And the keeper should be coming to collect that at that stage of the game and just take the pressure off. But between our defense and keeper, we just make an absolute hash of it. And then it's 1-1 then, and you're thinking, okay, there's still a bit left of the game where we can come back. And then it's like Hibs stopped playing for that period, and Dundee United were just growing in belief. They looked like the team that were going to win it. Um, Sorry, I obviously mentioned at 1-0, Boyle's header off the post, off the bar, sorry. He has to score that. I know he's not great in the air, but you just have
No,
to score that.
professional footballer.
So yeah, so it's 1-1 at that point, and you're thinking, oh, here we go again. Dundee United are tails up. We've stopped playing, and a few minutes later they get their second, almost a carbon copy of the first. Keeper should come for it, doesn't, and then it's just horrible. I don't even every time I look at it, I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's just such a bad goal.
Rob, I'd love to know if you can. Now, bear in mind, I think we need to change our like the rating we give the video if you swear. But roughly, what's your reaction when that's gone at 2-1?
I went absolutely mental, mental. I
It
was
would just show
like,
Hibs.
yeah, I was hitting myself in the head and everything, and just like complete loss of control. It was just like I just couldn't believe what I was watching. And then I was like, that just sums up our season. I'd written the game off, fans leaving, booze ringing out, and I was just like, could this get any worse, to be honest?
It's maybe Gray's job at that point, really. He's
Possibly.
I mean to throw away a 1-0 lead and not just to draw, but to lose to Dundee United at
Yeah.
home. Um, I don't know. Given that he's been under a little bit of pressure, that it would take some recovery for him to come back from there. But
Oh yeah, it would
as
have
it
been a
turns
bad
out,
one. But as it turns out, we stick in and we actually get Nicky Cadden on the field. And the moment he came on, you could see what we were doing. We're getting out to the left-hand side. He's whipping them in, dangerous balls in the box. That's how we get our equaliser. And again, fair play to Gray, the manager, the players as well. We keep
mhm,
going, wicked ball in um to the Dundee United box. They don't deal with it, and Johan gets a bit of good fortune. Apparently, it went down as an own goal. I mean, looks like a Johan goal to me, but I've not seen every angle of it. But they said it was an own goal, but it looks like Johan tapped it in, and then we've still got a few minutes in to try and go for the winner. But I was even saying, be typical of Hibs now to give up another corner or something, or give away a pen, and still manage to lose the game from here. But look, we don't, and I think that's That's why my message is positive because we didn't just accept the draw from where we were. We kept going. We kept throwing men forward. Gray brings on Suto, just a big Croatian um,
Hard
unit,
man.
and the type of player that I have been crying out for that we needed up front. Like Bowie was a good player on his day. He was a bit of a handful, but this guy just looks like he looks like my type of centre forward.
Mhm.
He's big, he's strong, and there's no messing about with him, and that's what I've been crying out for years at Easter Road. So he comes on, Nicky Cadden whips it in. Again, probably not his best cross, but what an unbelievable header. Now, I love a headed goal, as you know, one of my all-time heroes, Alan Shearer, one of the best headers of the ball. There's something about a headed goal,
Yeah.
and like he just like from that angle to get that power on it, moving back away, like it's just so hard to do.
Yeah, it's good.
And it was just a great moment. It was just like one of those moments in the season that we've not had enough of, those kind of comebacks or those last minute goals. And um, it was a nice moment. I couldn't, so from agony to ecstasy, Stuart. And I was flip side when that goal goes in. I'm up. I can't shout too loud because there's kids asleep. But you can imagine the scenes in my front room when that went
Oh,
in.
mate, I've seen it before when we used to play Pro Ever FIFA back in the day, and you got
Yeah,
a horrible tap-in goal in the last minute. I've seen it before.
yeah. So you can
Um,
imagine.
yeah, and this one was actually in real life, and it was a much better goal than just a tap-in. So fair, no, listen, fair enough. It was a big win for Hibs actually
Yeah,
because with Falkirk motoring along really nicely, at
yeah.
one point they were level on points with you and only behind you on goal difference. So I just think psychologically to get that win, I think you'd been three without a win or something like that. Um, and to get 3 points on the board, I think you needed that just to keep Falkirk at arm's length as much as anything else.
Absolutely. And what I was hoping was that that's our Aberdeen moment from last season.
Sure. Yeah. And
But time will tell, Stuart.
well, I was going to say the other thing it does is it puts you in pretty good spirits for and I suppose ironically both teams getting the positives of their Scottish Cup exit this weekend in that they're getting a rest. Although I know neither one of us is actually particularly happy about that. Ahead of Tuesday night, the Edinburgh Derby. So it's at Tynecastle. It's one apiece so far in the derbies. 1-0 at Tynecastle. A crazy game. 3-2 at Easter Road as well. Where's your head at for this one, Rob?
You know what, Stuart? And
Oh no!
I,
Here we
no,
go.
honestly, I might get shot down for this, and I might live to regret it. But I'm actually confident.
That has got
I
to be a
am.
Hibs fans' most famous last words.
You've no Shankland, you've no Devlin. The games where you played Hibs, you've looked ordinary. Hibs have matched even when we were on a poor run, and yeah, you've done great against other teams in the league as we've covered. But I've just got a feeling with our new signings coming in and that result on Wednesday night. I'm confident here. I think we're going to win.
The good news is, I think we're going to win. You'll be surprised to know. I think us winning depends on a couple of things, though. I would like to see Altena, the right back that we signed, come in at right back. I I'd stick with Milne at left back, centre half. Maybe I don't know. It's maybe a bit of a toss up. Maybe Steinwender moves in there. I'd even consider Kyrgiota coming on the wing. I wouldn't mind Ajew coming in midfield. I believe a few of these changes would be much more positive. People who are better on the ball. McEntee's physical, not great on the ball. Get Ajew into midfield. Steinwender, I don't know. I mean, this is debatable, but more of a defensive player and certainly a bigger player than Altena. But Altena's better on the ball, more creative. Kyrgiota, as we saw in the last derby, a technical hiccup there. But the reason I believe we can win, Robert, it depends on a few things. Um, Altena, I'd like to see him start. He's an actual right back. Steinwender, it's debatable, but he's more defensively sound, or certainly bigger than Altena. But Altena's better on the ball. I wouldn't mind Aju coming into midfield. Again, McEntee, he does a job. He's strong, he's physical, he's very good in the air. But well, not seen much of Aju, but he's a more creative player and certainly a more attacking player. I wouldn't even mind Kurjota getting a shot up top, or well, certainly out wide rather. He put the delivery in the last derby, and I mean it was we both said a fantastic cross. But he's done that a few times this season. He's got that cross in him. He's good at getting back on his left foot, even when you know he's going there. He still manages. He's one of these players that somehow still manages to do it,
like
and
Nicky
he
Cadden.
can put a really good. Well, yeah, I mean, suppose Nicky Caddy's doing it on the left from deep. What I like about Kurjota is he's doing it from the right, so it's swinging inwards, and he's doing it further up the field in line with the box. I mean, obviously, I rate Nicky Cadden, certainly his delivery in particular. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't mind that coming in, but I think if we can do that, you spoke earlier about being the team at home, the team that's higher up in the league. You were doing that Hibs compared to Dundee United. I think it's fair to do that the same with Hearts and Hibs. I mean, it's a fact, obviously, that we're higher up in the league. So the pressure's on us to win the game. And I believe that's the way we do it rather than trying to shut up shop. Do I think McInnes is going to do all of that? Probably not. Steinwender might go into centre half, and that leaves a wee bit of space for Altena to come in. I'm worried though he's going to go with Frankie Kent. I've got a feeling McEntee, Leonard, and Beningame they all go into midfield, and it leaves McEntee out right, not the most creative. I mean, these are the problems we had at St Mirren. But I just think if we can get some of our on the ball players, I think we can cause Hibs problems. And I think we've had more of that winning mentality that Hibs haven't had at times this season.
Mm.
I think it's fair to say, and we have had it. I
Yeah,
think that's also fair to say.
yeah, yeah.
So I believe all those things. Sorry, a lot of those things. If they happen, I strongly believe Hearts can and will win the game.
Yeah, I think where we're gonna cause problems for Hearts is Hearts need to win the game in terms of, keeping momentum with the title. The last derby go midweek game wasn't great
Yeah.
for Hearts. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Hearts to come and put in a performance and get a win for various reasons. And I just think this will play into Hibs' hands. I think we'll be able to do counter attack. I've always said we play better against the teams that come at us rather than the teams we have to break down. And even this season, when we've been poor, Celtic away, even the Tynecastle game, which obviously Hearts win at the end, but we matched Hearts for long periods of that game. The Rangers, the last Rangers game. So it really suits us when a team comes on to us, and then we can use our pace. And what we've added is pace in the January window. Scarlett's he's physical, but he's quick and he's got a good touch as well. So that needs to stick to him. Boyle's got an excellent derby record himself, knows what this is about. I don't know the midfield we're going to go with, but Nicky Cadden has to be in there because a corner, free kick, anything kind of from deep, he can create.
Yeah.
Do we start with Scarlett or do we start with Big Suto? I think we'll probably start with Scarlett is my, and I don't think we'll go two up top. I think we'll probably just play Boyle in behind, I'd imagine. But look, I don't know. I've been surprised a few times with the Hibs lineup, so we'll wait and see. The centre of midfield's what worries me. We Barlaser in the big games too often has kind of been a bit of a passenger. If you give him time, and if he is allowed time, he's got a great long ball on him, and he can rake those passes about. You're unlikely to get that time in a derby, particularly at Tynecastle. I would prefer the kind of all action type of Chiwa. Obviously, Mulligan, McGrath, they're massive misses for us as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
Huge to kind of any success we've had. Those two players have been big. So Hearts are missing players, and so are we, two of our most important. But I just think that if it does turn into a game of kind of ping pong, so to speak, and it is end to end, I just think it'll suit Hibs. And I think what would suit Hearts more is containing the game and like trying to win it on late. As I said, Hibs have shown their concentration levels in from 80 minutes onwards are not good, and all the facts speak to that. So if I was Hearts, I'd be saying, right, we're gonna keep it tight. We're gonna close down, Nicky Cadden. We're not gonna give them a sniff. And rather than us go all out attack, let's just pick our moments. And those 80 minutes, that's how I would see Hearts winning the game. Now, I might be completely wrong, but just in my head, whereas I think Hibs can cause problems, and I think we can touch on possibly a bit of nervousness creeping
Yeah,
into Hearts in this
yeah,
title
yeah,
race, and that's where we need to go to win the game. So,
yeah.
um, yeah,
No, I think it's fair. I mean, there's logic behind it rather than just that sort of blind.
we're gonna win 4-0.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just being a blind loyal fan and all that. I can see why or how that might happen. Um, One thing that I always find quite funny is like, I think we're at the stage now where Hearts are clearly in a title race. It's just so funny that the whole title race thing is such a bonus. Like we're not really meant to be there this season. The goal was to finish third and to do that as comfortably as possible. Um, and yet, Hibs would be the exact same. You do start to feel the pressure on it, even knowing that actually, I mean, let's face it, we're almost certainly going to finish at least third. I don't know, it'd be incredible if that didn't happen. So it's the target's kind of hit already, but there's still that pressure. So I'm hoping that McInnes is doing all his best to downplay all the stuff you're talking about there, basically, and just reminding him that this is one game, it's a big game. The 3 points helps us. That's it. But that's it. That's all you need to think about right now, and then we'll deal with whatever happens afterwards. Um, that would be my approach going into it. Hibs on their day are obviously very good. I do think Hibs on their off day could get quite a heavy defeat at Tynecastle. On some of the off days you've had this season.
Mm,
I don't mean nothing crazy. I mean like a 3-0 sort of thing.
mm.
Again, and I'm talking about Hibs on their off day. If I had to predict though, and obviously you're going to get asked for yours in a second. Um, I'm going to say 2-1 to Hearts, and there's going to be a red card in the game, but I don't know who for.
I'm gonna say the opposite, the other way around.
2-1
I
to Hibs.
think two on Hibs, and I know there's lots of things on online like two on Hibs. Um, I yeah, I think I don't know, and it's crazy.
No,
Sometimes you just get a feeling as a fan, and as I said, I've given a kind of logic as to why I think it is, but I think it's going to be typical Derby, low on quality, high on intensity, and I just think that we're going to come out on top. I think we're going to win, and um. As I said, yeah, I've just got a feeling. I think these new signings have kind of, from what I've seen of them, I've been quite impressed. And I know it's only one game, but
sure.
like we have been starved of creativity. We've been starved of like players getting in the box, piling forward. And look, that might all come unstuck. And I go, why do we not just contain ourselves or whatever? But
Get Josh
uh,
Campbell
yeah, one thing I do think Gray is going to do is he's going to roll the dice because we can't go any further behind Motherwell. You know what I mean? If we are to kind of finish fourth, and we also need to watch Falkirk, so there's not much to be gained in us just hoping not to lose. We need to
on.
go and believe in ourselves like we did in the last game. That first half was our best performance of the season against Hearts at Easter Road.
Yeah.
We're gonna need something like that again. Um, and I don't know. I've just got a feeling. I can't go over for it because it's a Tuesday night. I'm gutted. As you know, I barely miss a Hibs game, never mind a big Hibs game that I can go to. And this was one that just, it's a Tuesday night and I couldn't with family commitments and work the next day. I've barely any leave left as well, so
Well,
I'm gutted. But I'm going to let the kids stay up, and
oh
I'm going to
God.
put them in their hip scarves and everything. And yeah, we'll be watching it on the telly, so we'll see.
There's an extra layer to that for anyone watching at home. That includes then my goddaughter, that
That's it.
Hibs scum, watching the game there. And you're talking about, I will be going to the game. I mean, I cannot tell you. I was going to be working that night. I cannot tell you how much work I've put into getting my all my work covered for that night. It's come
Yeah.
at a lot of time, a lot of effort, but actually a bit of money to me as well to
Mm.
actually get to this game. So I swear to God, if we were going with bloody Steinwender at right back, McInnes owes me dosh at the end of the game.
What does
But
a draw
listen,
do, Stuart? What does a draw do? I was thinking this because we're both back in wins. You know, Hibs have lost. I think although we've only won one in three, as you say, but we've also only lost one in eight. Would a draw, if I'm looking at it from Hibs' point of view, away derby, would that be the worst result? Probably not. No, but we obviously depends on what Motherwell do. But like we need wins at this stage of the season ourselves. So
yeah,
like a draw in normal circumstances you'd probably take, but actually we kind of need to win the game.
yeah.
But from Hearts' point of view, what do you
It's funny.
think?
It's like it depend. I mean, it depends how the game goes in some ways. I said, and I know you said the same with Rangers. When we played Celtic, I would have taken a point, and then when we got the point, I was quite disappointed because we were the better team, and Hibs were the better
Yeah.
team against Rangers. But blah blah blah. At the minute, Hibs would be the happier team with the point because it's at Tynecastle, because we're at the top of the league. All these sorts of things. I think that's again fair to say. Um, I do think it's the sort of thing though. I don't think there'd be a lot of Hibs fans would take a point right now because they want the win, as you say. It's actually a really interesting dynamic midweek as well. We're playing on the
Yeah.
Tuesday, and as we did last week, Hearts played on the Tuesday, and everyone else played on the Wednesday. Um, we've got you on the Tuesday. Motherwell are at home to Rangers on the Wednesday, which I think is amazing because again, what a vested interest we both have.
Mm,
We're desperate for a Motherwell result so that Rangers drop points. You're desperate for a Rangers result there actually, and I know that's maybe you maybe don't enjoy saying that, but um, you need, as you say, you need to keep Motherwell
mm.
on a leash and
It's
keep them
true.
close. So
Absolutely.
it's almost like yeah, we're against each other on both nights. I think Rangers. I mean, look, this isn't the Motherwell and Rangers podcast, but Motherwell's. Have you looked at some of their stats recently? It's something like
Yeah,
nine clean sheets in a row at Fir Park. They conceded two in like 11 games or something, and this is all while playing like open and expansive football. I have to say, the Motherwell story this season is unbelievable. It's so
yeah.
impressive.
They've
And
been frighteningly good.
if they go on and get fourth and ahead of Hibs and whoever else, you have to say well deserved and fair play to them given their budget. We're always quick to moan about our budgets
Yeah.
compared to the old firm. So when Motherwell come up and do it to us, I think we need to take it on the chin.
No,
And
absolutely.
they've
Absolutely.
outplayed us this season a couple of times. Um, and we were lucky to certainly one of the times in particular lucky to get a point. So it's going to it's a brilliant midweek, and to top it all off after that we play Rangers at the
Yeah.
weekend, which again I'll be at
But
that one
isn't
as
it
well.
great though? And I was saying this, obviously, as you know, I'm in Ireland and a couple of the dads here keep an eye on kind of the Celtic results and things like that. And I have an eye
Sure.
in Scottish football. They know I'm a big Hibby and things. I actually saw a Hearts bag, by the way, in my wee boy's school here. I was like that. What's going
It was
on?
last time I was visiting, I brought it over and just left it there.
Yeah, left it in his school bag.
Yeah.
Um, no, but there was a boy with a like a Hearts. It was like a Hearts bag. I was like that. That's
Oh,
don't
brilliant.
often see that here. But
Yeah, good
like,
one.
what an exciting league this season.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
for various seasons. And I know like it's not been exciting for Hibs apart from the European adventure and obviously the Derby win. We've had very little to get excited about. But as a Scottish football fan on a kind of wider circle, like what a product it's been this season. Like you've got the Motherwell story, you've got Falkirk, you've got obviously Hearts, I hate to say, um, making a fist of it with Celtic and
But you,
Rangers as well. You've got like the unpredictability
yeah,
of like
Russell
Celtic,
Martin,
Rangers,
Wilfred
and Hearts
Nancy.
kind of losing points as well. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think Russell Martin and Wilfred Nancy have had a big say in that. Again, I don't think the teams are particularly great, Rangers and Celtic, but I mean to have had those two managers who have done so badly,
Yeah,
has
particularly
actually changed
Nancy.
quite a lot. Oh,
Like that that that
we
was
we said
like
at the time, we said at the time the
yeah,
timing of that appointment, just bizarre, but fine.
yeah,
Obviously we're not complaining. It's helped us out quite a lot. Um, so we always enjoy a good derby preview on the Salt and Sauce podcast. It seems to get a few more views, a few more likes, a few more comments. So it'd be great to
yeah.
hear from the fans how you're feeling ahead of Tuesday. Bold from yourself, Robert, to go in confident into the match, but I like it. I respect it. I hope you come back to regret that. Obviously, I hope your kids have an awful night on Tuesday as well. I hope there's tears. That's what I'm looking for. I want tears on Tuesday night
Salty,
in the
salty tears.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, so we'll see how it goes. And as you said, you know what the exciting thing is it just Scottish football has been absolutely brilliant this year. I do agree with that. It's
Yeah,
easier to say that as a Hearts fan, but
yeah.
what a brilliant league it's been.
Like I'm watching games that don't involve Hibs like for not the first time. Obviously, I'd watch the kind of big games that happen, but
Yeah,
like I'm actually like watching the other games and like actually getting a bit of enjoyment. I'm like, this is actually quite exciting.
yeah.
Like obviously, as we said, the quality's low, but it's just like I'd watch Scottish football over like any Premier League game
Oh
any
yeah,
any day.
definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's Man City Liverpool tomorrow. I honestly didn't even realise that until a couple of hours ago that they were
That's what I
playing this
mean. I've no,
weekend.
I've no, I've no interest really. But yeah. So you're equally. I hope all your efforts go in vain on Tuesday,
Yeah.
and I hope that you are miserable. And then I hope Hibs win on Tuesday, and then Rangers do the business on Wednesday, and then at the weekend again. That would just be
Yeah.
if Carlsberg did weeks, that would be
Yeah,
it.
well, we'll finish on a slightly more positive note. I mentioned a few pods ago, my dad's been a bit unwell, obviously, and he's been in and out of hospital last few weeks. He is hoping to be at Tynecastle on Tuesday for the game, which would be really nice for him to get along. You don't need to wish him all the best, Robert. I know you're happy that you'll be there. You don't need to hope that he has a good night, but I'm sure you're happy that he's able
I
to get
can't.
out.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll understand, know me very well that I
Yeah,
can't wish him
exactly.
a good night, but you know what? I know what going to football does for your kind of mental health and everything else. So I'm delighted that he's feeling good enough to go back. So
Yeah, I'm
I
sure.
I can say that to him without obviously wishing him well for the result.
He understands me. He knows. He knows. Um, anyway, on that immature note, we'll finish the podcast there. I think that's the first time we've been immature on this podcast. Thanks everyone for getting involved, and we'll see you next week after the derby.
See you next week.